So welcome back. This is another book. I guess this is the double digit book
It
today.
is. Yeah, we're hitting book 10 today. It's
Yep.
gonna be
Let's
a
take a
book called.
moment to take this in, and this is some of the accomplishment that we'll remember as the
Yeah,
jumpstart to long term.
it's funny you even mentioned that in the first place because the actual reflection title, which we'll get to here in a second, is it's about volume is the key as well. So producing a lot and keeping going is it's one of the secrets to success in this world. So
Okay.
but real fast before I spoil the whole entire reflection, the book is called Originals by Adam Grant, and it's about how nonconformists move the world forward. So Adam Grant, have you read this one?
No, I have not.
Are you familiar with Adam Grant though?
I do. I know him.
Okay,
I know of
yeah,
him. Not.
he's I love this dude. And I wrote at the top of it. I'm a huge Adam Grant fan. He's just got this just incredible way of like just thinking about the world and always being infinitely curious and searching for new and interesting ways to unlock the human in all of us and to
Hmm.
try to think differently. I don't know. I think Adam Grant's an original personally. I really value his take on life and the books that he's written. And actually I think most of all of them we're going to cover eventually at some point in time during this journey. So
Hmm.
but this is the first Adam Grant book that we're going to be touching on, and I think this was his first book actually. If I
I see.
don't quote me on that one, but I think this was his first book, and it's about, as the title says, originals. It's about these people that you hear about in this world that you would call unique and 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 original. Whether they be the Steve Jobs of the world or the Tiger Woods of the world or the Picassos or whatever, the
Hmm.
those people that are truly unique and stand out from the crowd, I guess. And this is a deep look into the background of you know what are the commonalities and characteristics and things that go into creating an original, I guess, just in general. That's what the book's about overall. One of the big ahas that I had in particular during this book as I was going through it, that I actually think that the author Adam Grant, unintentionally probably touched on. It wasn't like a big section of the book at all, but I don't know why it just really struck me as I was reading it, and he had
You never
mentioned.
know where inspiration will come from.
That's true. Yeah, 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 very, very much so. I mean, this book actually, I would talk about it in a second, but so as I was reading through this book, this one tiny little blurb that he wrote in there about, you know, maybe some of the things that makes people so original in this world is just a sheer volume of what they produce. When you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, eventually at some point in time, it's going to break through and it's going to start to shine above everyone else, and ultimately surfaces at the end of the day to become original. And for me, what I thought about as I was reading through this, I remember just recently, after I read that book, seeing a LinkedIn post by this cartoonist named Drew Dernovich that had a stack of his like 1,000 different two piles. He had two stacks. One of them was like 1,000 cartoons that he had drawn that said no on them, and then he had like this tiny little stack of like 50 that had been accepted cartoons as yes,
Hmm.
that was just like the best way to illustrate, like, I'm sure somebody sees Drew Dernovich's work and they're like, man, that guy's an original. That guy works his butt off. Like, he's just unique. I wonder what his background is, how he came to be, what he
Hmm.
was. And the truth of the matter is he just produces a lot.
Hmm.
He produces a lot of content, and the more that you do, the more that something's bound to break through, and the more that people are gonna, probably perceive you as an original someday. So, as it relates to this journey and kind of the journey that we've been on, this all goes down to make sure that you do what you love, produce.
Hmm.
As long as you're producing, for me, like, the big lesson is, as long as you're producing content and producing some output that is a reflection of your values every single day, it's a never ending source of I guess, energy and or you know, desire for me to want to continue to produce. I mean, this project is a perfect example of that. You know, what we do every single day, meeting every single night, is a perfect example of that. You know, we've done that. We do this stuff because we love it, and eventually, at the end of the day, you know, it produces a lot of content. And who the hell knows what's going to happen someday? But you know, this is really the path to doing this stuff, and it's not to produce a lot of content. It's to do what you love. And then the output of that is just something that, you know, eventually someday people might see what we're doing and go, man, that's really original, you know, and see us as originals. So that's my overall take on this one. And the reflection title is volume is the key. You know, produce a lot, but do what you love to be able to produce a lot, you know. Yeah.
So what's the questions that you have down there?
My question is what do you love doing so much that you can never get tired of doing it?
Okay. Good. So while hearing you talk, it reminds me of Thomas Edison. He worked on thousands of experiments on a light bulb until he find the one that works. And so, you know, it's about sheer volume. And, you know, this reminds me of the questions is, in my mind, is what is the secret to a lot of these originals? Their secret is they have a lot of volume. But then the next question to that is, how do you do that many volumes?
Right. You got to really love it.
Right. So it comes down to that you're doing it because you like doing it.
Right.
If you pick something that you don't like, it's very difficult and it's probably too stressful for anyone to be able to, you know, kind of stay in the kitchen and cooking on whatever it is that they want to cook. Right. So they won't get the volume. So the probability of finding that one solution, that one light bulb that will actually work, that lights up, in the case of Thomas Edison, right? You're not going to get to 1,000. You go and do 100 and you might just say, hey, you know,
that's enough.
I just can't take it.
I tried.
Take it anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So I wholeheartedly agree with your sentiment about you have to find things that you love to do. So it's not about being having a great ideas or $1 billion ideas or whatever the case may be. Those comes out of finding things that doesn't work and don't do it anymore. And just the one that's going to be left is more likely to be the one that's going to work.
Right.
So I think doing what you love is probably the core idea you need to take away from this, just because if you have what you love, then it is so easy to do in volume.
Right.
And if we say volume is what going to get you to that combinations or permutations, whatever you want to call it, then that's what it's going to take.
Right. I mean, I know it's very basic to say this, you know, but you see it across the board in every industry, whether it's Amazon. You think the Amazon's just this gigantic company. No, they've bought a ton of companies. They've tried a million different product lines. They've done they've done a lot of things and they failed at a lot of things along the way. But they kept going.
Because Amazon was a bookstore.
Right.
They're not an e-commerce store. That wasn't their intent. Netflix wasn't a movie streaming business. Their intent was to rate movies. So it changes. They're doing what they love. That's how they're becoming better and better at what they do. But, you know, it's not to say, hey, there's an idea, right? So an idea, when you pick, chances are that's not going to be the right match, the right fit. So you need a volume to figure out what it is that is their demand. Is there the right timing? Because you may have a great idea, but timing is bad. You don't have suppliers or technology is not ready. There's a lot of different variables that can throw off that perfect fit.
Yep.
And you have to have volume to find the one that actually it matches all the parameters of the requirements for that to grow.
Exactly.
Right? So volume is the key, but in order for you to get the volume, you need passion. And I know passion is one of those words that we overuse, but it's like when you like something and you never get tired of doing it, it things that it's play to you. It's not work. Whether that's playing tennis, whether that's to analyze data, or to, I guess raise plants or whatever. Excuse me. But people have a certain makeup just because their makeup determines who they are. Okay, we talk about beavers, right? So beavers, like, whether building a dam is beneficial, they don't know, they don't care, but it makes them happy to build dams, and that's all they do. They build dams after dam. You destroy the dam, they build again. Can't right? So you gotta do what you're designed to do. A painter must paint, a writer must write. That's the saying I like to say.
Yep, for sure. And
I don't know who said it, but I borrowed from someone.
I'm sure we're going to touch on those way deeper in the future. I mean, I think of this journey in particular that we're on right now, what we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Like I'm like 100 and I think 8 reflections in at this stage, the process. And, I'm about 180 books into the whole entire process as well at this stage. And, I think of like, I mean, there's mornings and every morning I wake up and I do this, right? This is what I do before I go to work every single day. And, I read every single day. I write my reflection. When I was writing the book for my daughter every single day, I woke up and, I wrote every single day, I mean, it's, right. It was producing over and over and over in time. And it ultimately comes into whatever the final shape of the project and, evolves from there. But I think of this project in particular personifies what we're talking about. We have no idea, like at all, like if anybody's ever going to find any value out of this, and I don't care. Like this is you don't care. Like we find value out of it.
Exactly. We don't care. Right. But I think somebody will, because it's just a sheer volume.
No, I do think somebody will someday, but I'm saying I'm not like banking on the fact that somebody's ever going to ever watch these videos on YouTube and care at all what we're trying to do. But what gets me, there's many mornings when I wake up and I don't want to write about this, or there's many days when, you and I get off our normal job or whatever it may be. And we meet every night at 6 o'clock and I'm tired and I don't want to do this, but like when you're doing something you value, you do want to do it, like it always brings energy back.
To me, the thing is, you have in the way that I look at things, it's not, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. I get to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to do it.
Right.
I have been accepted and I get to do that because I wanted to do that. So there is a big difference. It's like, I'm waiting to do this. You know what I mean? So it's a different between if somebody say I had to do something or I get to do something.
Right. Yes. I get to do this to honor my daughter every single day. And that's what makes me come back time and time again, and I think that, I think saying volume is the key is a nice shiny way to put it over the top of it. Cause that's true. But at the end of the day, when you peel back the layers, like we're talking about, and you dive way deeper into it, there's a whole lot of reasons why I get up every single day and I write and I read and I write this reflection, and then we do what we're doing every single night. There's a mountain underneath that as to the why and to the passion, where the passion comes from to come do that stuff. And I think, people on the surface level, they see volume as the key and they may go, oh yeah, duh, produce a lot of stuff and you'll eventually have something that'll break through. But to get to produce something, like we've talked about, you got for whatever reason, you have to love painting. Like if you're going to paint every single day, like, I don't know why, but you just got to do it. And I that's up to you to figure that out and to find those activities that reflect that. But once you do, then,
I mean, you think about it, how many pieces of Picasso's painting do you know?
I mean, probably 5, out
exactly.
of the 5,000.
So how many do you think he painted?
Oh, not even just painted, but drew. I mean, you go to like a Picasso exhibit. I went to the Picasso exhibit in Barcelona when we visited there one time, and like there's just book after book after book of like his hand sketched drawings of
thousands and thousands of them.
Right. I mean, this dude, that was all I did. I mean, he was obsessed with this stuff, and this was, Tiger Woods, I bet has hit 5 million trillion golf balls in his life, like, I mean, we've also talked about that's not balanced, like you still got to bring balance into this equation, like to make it like a long-term thing and not kill your body. Right. but you know, at the end of the day, like it is just a volume game, I think. I mean, you know, so yeah.
I mean, volume is more of a you know, an obvious metric, but to get to the metric, how do you get the metric? How to get the volume? That's the driver. That's a key driver to how you get that number. Because if you don't like to paint, you're probably gonna paint 100, 200. You can't get to thousands. Right. So it's a you know, like the piece of the iceberg they don't see, which is how do these people making these great masterpieces? Because underneath that, there are thousands and thousands of practice and knows, and only the few, the small percentage that's on top.
Yep, absolutely. If you want to get noticed, somebody will find you. Just keep producing stuff, you know, and that you love. Yeah. So, all right, final thoughts. Any final thoughts before we sign off here?
I think that should be good enough. I mean, do what you love and find what you like to do that you don't get tired of doing it. I like that question.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be something that you absolutely love, and to do that, you need to know what you value the most, and go find those activities that reflect that, and that'll keep you going back time and time again.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for book number 11.
Number 11.